Are we rolling?
Yep.
Okay. Welcome to It's a Disc, Damn It, the Flat Earth Society podcast.
That's right. The lies have been told to you.
Actually, welcome to the Morning Ramble.
It's
I'm
morning.
Matt.
I am Eric. Let's talk about truth and lies.
The lies this government has told you about round Earth or whatever.
A sphere. So, we're kidding for people who don't understand sarcasm.
We've got a couple of sweet memes to show you.
I have more that I could probably pull up, but these are the two that I found, and I thought it was funny. So, this one, we'll throw it up. If the Earth isn't flat, then why are cars like this flat and not round?
Well, I mean,
it's a valid point.
It is a valid point.
If you don't understand geometry.
I mean, the Earth is very small, so, you know, that curvature is pretty steep.
Yeah, I think the diameter is somewhere around like 20 meters.
Yeah.
So, that's why cars would need to be round. So, boom.
Take that.
But we have a sighting. We have a sighting that trumps flat earthers. Checkmate. Right there, you see the connection that holds the Earth in space that we all have a model of in our home. See that?
I see it.
It's round.
All right.
Undisputable.
Well, take that, flat earthers. We can't.
That's right. It's It's absolutely crazy that people even still think this, but there's really not that many of them.
Yeah, but there are some loud voices in that community.
There's not, though.
There is.
I know.
B.O.B.
I know.
The rapper who gave us such hits as Billionaire with Bruno Mars.
And he did that song with the lead singer of Paramore. What's that called?
Airplanes. Which he probably doesn't believe in because flat Earth.
We can't fly. No, and that's why we don't listen to rappers on Science Matters. Yeah, it's fun. It's just fun. I find it amusing. I know some people are bothered by it. I think scientists probably find it amusing. I don't know any, but I'm pretty sure they do. How could you not?
I mean, I think that there's probably people out there who actually believe that, but there are people out there who believe some weird stuff.
Yeah. They believe it's the government, or they believe in this giant, like, shadow figure that controls all of it. Kind of like the Truman Show. We're all in this dome, and they just keep secrets from us, while we still have private companies like Tesla that shoot cars into space. So, I mean, it's not like it's...
The government is bees.
Here's the thing. Just trying to argue it as a serious matter for 1 second.
Okay.
Could you imagine, excuse me, the amount of people that would have had to have lied to, you know what I mean, to propagate this? Like, think about it. Like, we're not even just talking about the moon landing. We're talking about every country, every satellite, everyone who works for those governments that are not saying that the Earth is flat. Like, it's... Like,
and the fact of the matter is we have literally thousands of satellites in space now.
Every private companies.
Which we use.
Yes, it's a huge thing.
All
GPS,
the time. So.
And it's... Yeah.
It's amazing.
And that's the amount of seriousness I'm going to give this topic. But that is all.
I mean, I think that it deserves its time in the limelight, Eric.
I actually agree with you, though. I think that these people should be heard, which I think is a great segue.
I think they should be heard and laughed at.
Yes, which is a great segue to our main topic tonight.
This morning.
Tonight.
This is the morning.
It is the morning. And actually, it is the morning right now.
It is.
I'm sorry. Why did I say tonight?
I don't know, Eric.
All right.
This is the Daily Ramble.
The Daily Ramble. The First Amendment is what we're going to be talking about. Very exciting stuff.
It's super interesting.
Yes.
And do let us know if you want us to do a whole amendment series, like Eric said. Just going over all the amendments.
I was thinking about it. I go through the Bill of Rights, the amendments, and, talking about them, because I think a lot of people have forgotten what they actually say, and they just kind of go off of what someone else says, and, like, they don't actually go back and just read the Constitution. Like, they don't just read it. So,
I mean, it's if you guys want a hilarious image, imagine Eric.
No.
Working at a job. I'm not going to say where, but he's at a counter on his phone
reading the amendments.
It's,
you know what? It's a part of every job. You should know the rights of your customers and your employers.
I mean, it's just an incredible image to have in your head.
Well, it is what it is. But my first point is I thought it would be a good idea to just go back and read the First Amendment and talk about it a little bit, because I think a lot of people get kind of surrounded by everyone saying you're against my First Amendment right. Like, what does that even mean? Like, what does that mean? Can someone actually be suppressing your First Amendment right? Kind of. And that's what we're going to get into. And then I thought we'd get into some more of the pop culture stuff that's happening right now, and that's been happening this week.
Right.
That. So, Matt, would you like to read the First Amendment? I got it
Sure.
right here.
Do you want me to read it in normal voice, or you want me to read it as Donald Trump?
Please don't read it as Donald Trump. Read it as Nicolas Cage, as if he's trying to find a map to the golden treasure, even though this is not the part he read.
Okay, the First Amendment is, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, or of the press, or of the right of the people, peaceably to assembly, and to petition the government for redress of grievances. They really should go back through the amendments, and this is probably not a popular idea here. They really should go back, and honestly, I think they should do this with all documents that are actually legal, and put it into modern English.
Not like Old Testament.
Yeah.
No, I know what
because
you're
there are a
saying.
lot of people who will interpret that in different ways. Like, maybe there should be a group of people who get together and actually figure out.
No, well, it has been. It's not like it hasn't been in history. I can't say the exact dates, but I do know that obviously amendments have been amended and revised into other ones.
Yeah, and removed and stuff.
And stuff like that. For when our country has needed it, or culture, or however you can say. But I this one doesn't confuse me as much as other ones, because I read it through a couple of them, and this one is pretty simple, and really everything below it is important, but the main part that I think a lot of people forget is that first line you read: Congress shall make no law. So what does that mean? So I have some notes down, and I thought we'd go through it. So, free speech. Your free speech cannot be suppressed by any law that Congress has made. Okay? That doesn't mean that someone could be suppressing your free speech. Kind of. We'll come back to that. So, what doesn't it apply to? So, obviously, you can't just say whatever you want, as far as like your job and get fired. They don't like what you say.
Yeah, you do have freedom of speech, but you do not have freedom from consequences.
Exactly. Jobs, schools, public and private. I made a note here that, as far as public schools go, it's, you do have freedom of speech, unless you are interfering with another person's rights. So, and then you can get into the argument, like, what are someone's rights? You know what I mean? I know the main thing that's in, you don't have the right to not be offended. Like, that's a big one right now, that people get offended. You know what I mean? Well, you don't have a right to not, have your feelings hurt. That's kind of the big thing right now. So someone hurting your feelings isn't really, illegal.
That happens to me every day.
That's right. Right here at this very table.
Here at this table every day. When we do this podcast every day, but we only upload once a week.
That's right. We have like 60 you don't even know about. And then online. You can't just say what you want online.
Yet most people do.
Mm-hmm. It's super cool. Well, there's very little.
I mean, looking back at my own history online, no, it's like we evolve as people. I like to think, and I think one of the main things in life is to always be reevaluating yourself, be looking at yourself and say, how can I improve myself to make me prouder of who I am? I look back at me from years ago. Some of the stuff I said online is not only, offensive and stupid. If I said it today, it could get me into a ton of trouble.
I hear you. I went back. I did the same thing, and I was just curious. I went back on old conversations, like Facebook messages. Don't do that, by the way.
Oh, it hurts your feelings.
I did, and I was reading what I'm saying, and I'm like, who is this person? Because this stuff is like, thank goodness that, and I just erased it all. But
oh yeah, I've been doing that
gone
for years.
But some of the conversations that I had with just some of my private friends, like, it's just I'm joking in them. But someone who doesn't know me or the person I was talking to can easily take it the wrong way, and it could get someone in a lot of trouble. And I think that's the importance, though, is context. You know what I mean? The context of the conversation, which a lot of people overlook, and they like to just take, oh, you meant this way, but I'm taking it this way, and this, you know what I mean? And that's a whole other thing about, like, I know comedians struggle a lot with like that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Someone could take a single line that a comedian says and say that they meant it this way, but they didn't. It was, I'm not a comedian, but it's a hard platform out there right now.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people. Even some recent specials I've watched. I actually just watched one. You're going to be surprised. I just watched David Chappelle, one of his most recent specials.
Really?
Yeah, really, I did. And it was one of his more recent Netflix specials, and he actually talks about how he doesn't want to do comedy anymore because just people are so sensitive. And I know that's a big line, like political correct and stuff, but he was just saying, like, it's just people just don't take jokes anymore very well.
I mean, I've gone to a bunch of live comedy shows, not with any big names or anything.
Yeah, local stuff.
But I've got some friends who are comedians, and some of them really like skate the line. So I was at an open mic the one time, and one of them was performing. A very funny comedian named Zach Hammond, and he was talking about plug for Zach Hammond, really cool dude. And he was talking about how he hates kids.
Okay.
And he does.
Okay.
Like, it's partially a joke and partially just...
there's some truth. There's some truth in every... Yeah.
And then, he gets further and further into that, and out of nowhere, this girl just starts yelling at him during a performance. And yeah, it's an open mic at a college, but, like... Yeah. What?
Some severe heckling. Yeah.
It wasn't even heckling. She was just like, fuck yeah. Sorry, I cursed again. Darn it.
No one got in this far.
Anyway.
Moving
on.
Okay, so let's go into some exceptions with the free speech, with the First Amendment. Yeah. I was looking into some different, like, Supreme Court rulings. And I was very fascinated, but I didn't read all of them, obviously. That would just take forever. But I thought it was interesting. Obviously, we know this, but just to reiterate it, the Supreme Court has made it very well known that, free speech does not end with the spoken or written word.
Right, absolutely.
Expression, actions, as long as they're nonviolent, still fall under this amendment. So people do a lot of things that I don't like personally, but it's their right to do them. So what do I got here? So first one, fighting words I wrote down. So this is a very simple one. Someone who incites, violence, who is threatening, true threats, I think is a better term for it. So immediate threat to someone, or someone who's going to have lawless action towards another person, violence.
Right.
And I know you mentioned prior, we just, in our local area, what was his name that just got found, that just was found in Ohio?
I don't remember his name.
Was it Christie? Sean?
I feel like it was Sean.
We have phones.
We can look it up.
We have phones.
Anyway, this guy threatened Trump online, and...
It was online?
Yeah.
Okay, because a lot of people have been following it. I haven't been, so...
So then the authorities...
Sean Christie. Yep.
Came to interview him, if you would, and he ran. Yeah. And he's been on the run for weeks now.
It's been a while. Before, because Trump recently visited where we're at, Wilkes-Barre, the arena.
Yes.
And that was way before that. That was before then. And
it was a couple days before then when he...
Yeah, and that was over a month ago, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's been a while.
I was in Wilkes-Barre that day. And
there were some crazy stories around it, too. Like, I heard, like, I don't know who was telling me this. Like, someone said that, like, someone spotted him, like they opened up their store or restaurant, and they were, like, throwing trash out, and, like, he jumped. Was it you that was telling me this? Yeah, what was it?
This guy had broken into an ice cream place twice. So he broke in, made food in their kitchen, and then ran away again. That's amazing. Then, I guess... when they came in for the day, he didn't have a place to hide, so he just hopped into their dumpster.
That's a good spot.
And then when they went to throw out the trash, they throw the trash in, and he jumps out and starts running.
Could you just imagine being that worker? What would you do? I would just, like, in awe stare at him as he runs away.
I would have no idea how to react.
It's like a skit. Yeah, so he was inciting... violence towards the president, which is probably the one person you shouldn't be saying anything, even if it is a joke. Like, it's not like you don't joke about that.
Oh yeah, Kathy Griffin found that out. Griffin?
I don't know.
I feel like it's Griffin.
I don't know.
But yeah, when she put up the
one.
picture of
I don't even want to talk. Whatever. That was so long ago. Was that 2 years ago?
Yeah.
When that happened when he was running.
Eric, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago.
We were 24.
Yeah.
So young.
So young. So innocent. Next one, obscenity. Is that right?
Obscenity.
Obscenity. I don't know how to talk. So sexual conduct, and then when I first read that, I'm just like, wait a minute, there has to be some subnote, and that's when I read sexual conduct that lacks serious. So to me, this is almost up to interpretation. Like anyone could kind of claim this literacy, artistic, political, or scientific value. So I thought that was a very interesting wording. So value. So like, you know, I this makes sense. Like, you know, artistic, you know what I mean? Like art, there's a lot of, I guess you could say like inappropriate. And it's for artistic
I've met some nude
value.
models before.
Yeah, some artistic value. What?
I've been a nude model before.
Get out. Well, don't get out, but.
No, that happened.
All right, then. We'll stop there.
The ramble's over.
And the picture or the painting of him is here.
It's for sale.
Just kidding. Click here. That's a thing on YouTube. So artistic and political value I thought was interesting, because what kind of sexual conduct could be political value? I thought that was a little bit interesting. I get it. I don't know. I don't get it.
I don't get it at all.
I
don't understand it.
But I understand what they're saying here. Obviously, if it's something for a serious matter.
I like how they've put all of these stipulations in.
Well, you have to.
Yeah.
People are willing to find any hole you can. But, like, you know, like, if some guy's, like, urinating in a public park, it's like, this is art. You know what I mean? Like, can you claim that this is art? And it's live art.
Yeah.
It's real live art. There's no cameras. I'm just doing it, and it's artistic, and that's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we've I want to go back to like obscenity for a second. This is a really good time to bring up like some music artists that were very, very polarizing when they first came out. Mm-hmm. You know, like in the 80s, we got your Twisted Sisters, your Guns N' Roses, stuff like that. There were people calling that obscene, and then there were people calling it like, oh, no, this is the new thing.
Yeah.
So this is such a fluid topic, because things that would be considered obscene in the 70s and 80s are tame today.
Well, yeah, like you look at AC/DC. I think they were banned in, was it Russia or something like that? Some European.
It wouldn't shock me.
And like, you know, they were seeing, like when they came out like Hell's Bells and stuff like that, like, oh, it's the devil's music, and I'm just like, and I listen to it now and I'm like, this is.
Well, it's like when they.
What is this? This is good music, but it's like, this is nothing compared to some of the metal I listen to, and some of the metal that's out there, because like I don't. Whoa.
I mean, going back a little bit further, like Elvis's first TV performance, where they only filmed him from the stomach up, because they didn't want to put his hips gyrating on TV, because that was obscene back then. Meanwhile, I go and see Steel Panther, and there's like tits out, and
I don't know who Steel Panther is, but okay.
It's a band. It's a weird 80s kind of metal band.
I see what you're saying. There's a lot out there, and we won't even talk about Marilyn Manson.
You know, that's actually who I thought of when I brought up the topic, but then I was like, nah, you know what? I don't want him on here. He's a very good interview.
He's a very weird dude.
He is a very weird dude.
Yeah. So that obviously is, you know, that's all protected under the First Amendment, but outside of that, of serious value, I guess you can say for that is not. So if you're blatantly, like I said, urinating in a public park, and there's like people over there like having a family picnic, that's not allowed, because that's not. Yeah. Unless you're doing some kind of scientific research, then maybe. All right, enough of that.
I pee on this bunch of mushrooms, and they grow better.
Yeah. It's my test. I'm a scientist.
I'm a scientist.
Defamation. This is one that I can easily go into, because right now, currently, in the political spectrum, we have what we talked about 2 weeks ago, Brett Kavanaugh.
Mm-hmm.
The allegation has come out against him. But anyway, defamation and false statements. Obviously, if someone is claiming to have that assaulted you, and that's wrong, whoever it may be, that's illegal. You can't do that. But I don't know. Have you been following?
I have
week?
been following it.
Okay.
As soon as I heard about that, I was like,
Intrigued?
I was definitely interested, and then when I did a little bit more research on it, I was a little bit torn.
Mm-hmm.
Because it really does feel like, and I am most certainly not saying a thing about her, about the woman.
I don't know who she is.
Who is accusing him.
Mm-hmm.
It does really feel politically motivated at this point, because the allegations came out in July.
Yes.
Was it July or was it June?
It was July.
They
The
came
letter.
out in
The
July.
letter was sent to the California senator. I forget her name. Anyway, she wrote a letter to her senator in July, or it might even been June. But we've been having hearings the past couple weeks, and nothing was brought up about this. And the senator was on the committee. She has asked her questions. She has, like, he's been interrogated pretty much by every senator. And why is this just coming now? And I'll tell you why. And again, I'm not one, and I know you hate being on this side too, just from the way you were wording that. It's like you hate to be on like a conspiracy theory kind of type side here. The reason why I'm wording this, because it's like it seems like it's being brought up to postpone the nominee from being confirmed, Kavanaugh, until they're hoping that this runs long. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, that does feel like what it is. Again, I don't know what happened back then. It would be very, very difficult for someone to prove or disprove anything in that. Yes. And that is one of the
dilemmas.
The terrible, terrible things about sexual assault. Yeah. It's it screws up your head to the point where you don't want to tell anybody. So, assuming that this happened allegedly, I can fully understand her never wanting to do that, and then finding out later on in life, I'm being the devil's advocate here, finding out later on in life, like, that guy who was a predator to me, now he's going to be a judge, like, in the biggest court in our country. I can see that kind of outrage, but definitely the timing, especially because they knew about it in July, does seem fishy to me. Okay.
I completely get that. And I'm going to play the other side of it because, yes, it's not like I'm not a woman, okay? I'm a very large man.
Wait, really?
I'm not.
Whoa.
I'm coming out. I'm a very large man, and I don't know what it's like to have someone who is bigger than me, like, overpower me. You know what I mean? That's not something that happens to me on a daily basis. So for a 15-year-old girl, if this happened, I have no problem seeing that she wouldn't have said anything. That's horrible. And that would be horrible in that instance. But I will say this. It's not like Kavanaugh is just some guy who was living a normal life working at, like, I don't know, a Walmart. And now he's becoming the Supreme Court nominee. We're talking about a man who has worked in the White House under President Bush and who has been on the courts for years. Okay, he has helped write law. Okay, and he has been a judge who has had many different confirmations. He's written journals, and you know what I mean. Like, this guy is not like so. Now is my question.
Yeah,
because
it's not like he came out of Taco Bell and was like, "Now I'm going to be a Supreme Court justice."
Yeah, so she has a problem now because I feel like if someone did this to you and you knew that he was like working for the president, why wouldn't you bring it up then?
Absolutely,
like, that's pretty horrible.
I mean, that's a pretty serious.
Yeah.
Position already, but maybe she wasn't actually following it, and only when he got this kind of publicity,
I don't know. I mean,
maybe that was the problem.
If one of our classmates was working in the White House, I'm pretty sure we'd know about it. Don't you think?
I mean, yeah, I keep up with them.
Yeah, me too. I keep in touch. The accusations, playing a cold hand here, just playing a cold hand. It's called innocent until proven guilty. And there's no way that he could be proven guilty from what I've seen. Like, no one has come out and said that they were an eyewitness. It's literally one person's word against another, And should this man's career be ruined by this is the question, you know?
I mean,
And
legally,
no.
no.
Legally, no. Morally,
It's a gray area.
We don't know, though.
Exactly.
That's the thing. It's hard to say because we don't know. And personally, it's not like this guy's been doing evil things in the public eye for the past 20 years, and he's now coming out. We're finding out all about it. Do you know what I mean?
It's really not like this woman came out and then like 400 other women started being like.
This isn't a Bill Cosby situation.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
It's not like other classmates. Oh my gosh, he did that to you too. Like, you know what I mean? Like that has not happened. So, but anyway, getting away from defamation and false statements. There's two other ones that we'll point out quickly because I wanted to get into some other stuff, and I know you did too. So, like, invasion of privacy is a big one. Obviously, free speech. I can't go out shouting people's social security numbers, you know what I mean, their addresses. You know, while some information might be public, still, it could be illegal, especially if it leads to, you know, violence or whatever like that. And then national security, which doesn't apply to us, but to a lot of military people.
I mean, it could apply to us.
Yeah. What do you know?
I mean,
Can't say.
I know the secret sauce from Wendy's. Sponsor us, Wendy's.
Yeah. Wendy's. We need to really get some Wendy's here because now I'm hungry. I didn't have lunch.
I haven't eaten
It's not
since
lunch.
12
Well, it's not-
yesterday.
Oh, really? I didn't have breakfast, but it's not lunchtime. But now I'm ready for lunch.
I am too.
Wendy's run. It's only a half hour away. Wendy's. Bring one here. To the town that gets flooded a lot.
Yeah. It adds flavor.
Yeah. River. People who don't know where we live is going to be very confused.
We live in a metropolis called Chick-Shinny.
That's right. Where it floods every other summer. And so, yeah, national security. So that's the First Amendment, people. So I hope you learned something.
I certainly did.
That's right.
I learned a lot today.
So, current news cycle, something I thought we'd bring up first because we talked about it in a previous podcast. Alex Jones, getting into some of the nitty and gritty. Alex Jones, you know, he has been banned off YouTube for promoting hate. He was then banned off Twitter almost immediately after. And then I just read this week that PayPal has actually removed him from their services because, and I quote, he was promoting hate. So I know PayPal's not really a social media platform, but this is I think the main person in the public eye we can point out that has been removed from these platforms for what he says. Now, Matt, I know you're a big fan of his.
Don't say that, Eric.
Someone's going to take that clip. No, we're not fans of Alex Jones, okay?
Yeah.
I don't. It's not like I extremely dislike the guy, but I don't like him at all.
I mean, this is a similar situation to what we were talking about last podcast, which you can watch on YouTube, where you're watching this one.
We have nothing against YouTube. We do.
YouTube is a company. They make the rules.
Mm-hmm.
If you break their rules,
Yep.
which aren't set in stone because YouTube's rules are very fluid.
See, that's the thing. You're saying if they break the rules, but I know a lot of, on this side, a lot of conservative people who do podcasts and shows, like they understand, like, YouTube, Twitter, they're all private companies. And I know a lot of people that have been banned off Twitter in the public eye because of what they've said. And I think it's not that they're criticizing them for doing that. They are, but they want to know, what are the rules? What can and can't we say? Why don't you just be transparent about this? But they're not.
Yeah, their conversation skills. YouTube actually saying what they want on their service and not. They have been absolutely atrocious at it. It's very, very confusing. It's a very confusing platform. Don't kick us off, YouTube. We love you.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a YouTube Premium subscriber.
Are you? Okay.
I certainly am.
I'm not, but I watch a lot of YouTube because that's where I watch music videos.
I just watch you and I talking over and over
That's
again.
right. That's what we do. Watch ourselves. There's all those views, those dozens of views.
Yeah.
It's just us.
That's just
watching
that's
ourselves.
Just us, yeah.
Hi, Eric.
Matt,
Matt, watch out. All right, go ahead.
There was also that Milo guy,
Milo Yiannopoulos. I wasn't gonna bring him up. Milo
Yiannopoulos.
Yiannopoulos.
That's the name.
Yeah, that guy. I wasn't gonna bring him up. I'm surprised you know about him.
I do know about him. He was kicked off of Twitter, right?
He was kicked off of everything. From
Wow.
my understanding, he has his own website and a paid subscription to get his daily videos. I don't. I don't mind the guy. I think he's very interesting. He's a provocateur. You know, I think he did an interview with ABC when he had a big dispute with someone from SNL. I forget her name. He called her, or someone called her something, his fan base. But anyway, he's someone who likes to say outrageous things and get a reaction out of people. And again, that's not illegal. He's not gonna get prosecuted for it.
A provocateur.
Provocateur.
I like that.
Yeah.
Otherwise known as a troll.
Troll. Yes, a troll is a more simpler term.
I mean, I don't like the guy very much, but
You know, he said something though that I really agree with. And when someone was asking him about people who say false things, you know, shouldn't we like stop them? Like, shouldn't we like Alex Jones? You know what I mean? And I know it was him who said it. I can't quote him exactly, but he said this pretty much to us. He's like, I think that we should shine a light on those people. So like Alex Jones, I know you said before we started, you said like you have a problem with someone who just constantly says the wrong thing over and over again.
yeah, but
like
I also don't think he should be stopped. I agree with him there.
Shine a light on him. Let's hear what he has to say so that we can be like, that guy's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not talking about him specifically, but anyone who, you know what I mean? Like, don't suppress, because when you suppress, you're giving power. It's like, oh, they're trying to hide what he has to say. What are they trying to, you know what I mean? Like the man, you know?
That's absolutely right. I specifically remember I was at a customer's house. I won't say what I do or anything, but I was at a customer's house and I was working on something. And there was a lady in the next room on her computer just watching conspiracy theory videos.
That's awesome.
Loudly.
I like watching those.
And I just looked over and I was like, all right, some of these are kind of cool. Most of them are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And every one of those videos literally starts off with, the government doesn't want you to know this.
I know.
I love the creativity, actually.
It's pretty cool. I just recently watched a bunch of like since it's September, weeks ago, during 9/11. I watched a bunch of conspiracy videos and documentaries because I never have before, so I was just intrigued. It's very fascinating. Not everyone's full of crap, but there's some people out there that are pretty insane. But I won't get into that one. But this is all free speech. People have the right to make these documentaries, these videos. But and as far as Alex Jones goes, Twitter, all of them have the right to ban him. But I do agree with a lot of people saying, like, what are the rules? Like, why don't you just tell us what we can or can't say? Because they say these little small sentences of like, oh, he's promoting hate. Of what? And how far can they go? Like, did he threaten someone? You know what I mean? like it's like, I know his most famous quote was, "Turn the frogs gay." You know what I mean?
I love that.
I know. That I guess
I want that
hate.
to be like my ringtone.
Yeah. I don't even know what the original context of it was, to be honest with you, but so many people that I've watched have spoofed them that it's funny.
I wanted to look up something quick.
All right. But
nope, I lost it.
all right,
Sorry.
that's fine.
There was news about Marco Rubio. I figured we would make it a segment called Rubio Watch, but
Rubio Watch.
but I can't find it right now.
No, wait, are you talking about Venezuela?
Yeah.
The cook? Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. There was the president or the dictator of Venezuela. What's his name? Marmaduke? What's his name? There was a chef, some famous chef, I guess, like hosted him, or he went there and cooked for
Salt
this.
Bay.
Salt Bay. Yeah, that meme.
Yeah,
whatever
Salt
that
Bay.
is. I don't even know why I just did that.
I mean, that's what he does.
He cooked for him, and Rubio called him out and said, how could you possibly cook for this guy when like his whole country is starving, people can't eat, they're losing tons of weight, and people can't even afford a loaf of bread, let alone there be a loaf of bread available for them to buy. And yet you're cooking for this guy like steaks, and he's smoking cigars, and Salt Bae served him, and he called out Salt Bae's restaurant, I believe, in Miami.
Yeah.
And a lot of people were questioning. Is that what you wanted to talk about? A lot of people were questioning.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely disagree with Rubio here.
Do you?
Here's the reason.
Okay.
What is Salt Bae going to do? He lives in that country.
Does he?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
If the president of your country comes to your restaurant and is like, hey, I want you to serve me, what are you going to say? Even if you don't like the guy, you can't say no to that.
I mean, you could.
Not in Venezuela.
As a protest.
I mean, here you can do that, but not in Venezuela.
Well, he has a restaurant in Miami.
He does. But it's
So-
not like this was the Miami restaurant.
The thing is, though, how are you going to make change in that country? You know what I mean? Like, I'm just...
Well, you give them a bill, they give you the
why?
change
I'm
back.
just saying, what is he doing for the... I'm not saying it's his responsibility to help out every citizen of Venezuela, but I don't know. I would have a very huge moral dilemma of helping someone who's doing that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you start change if you're not willing to make change and sacrifices in your, you know?
It feels like a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
It is. But that's the
It kind of put him in an awkward situation, and then Rubio pointing this out did put him in a more awkward
Well, did he
situation.
respond? I don't know if Salt Bae responded.
I don't know.
See, I don't know. But you
that's-
know, I'm
That's
not...
what it's like here on Rubio Watch.
Yeah, I'm not against it. You know, you know, and a lot of people were talking about free speech part of it. They were calling out like the restaurant's address and phone number and stuff, and everyone's like, "Oh, you can't do that." And I'm like, "That's public record. I mean, you can just
Google
Google Domino's, you'll get all the addresses and phone numbers for them. You know what I mean? Like it's
and it's not like you're gonna go to that restaurant and Salt Bae is going to actually cook
be
for
there.
you.
He's not going to be there.
It's
Maybe
not how it
once in a
works.
while, but yeah, the main reason why I wanted to bring this up was, you know, a lot of people, you know, claim that you're stifling my free speech, you know, whatever like that. But it's not the case. Unless someone's suppressing any of one of your rights, you know, rights as a human being in America, that's not what someone's doing, you know?
Oh, yeah. I just wanted to bring up the free speech thing about religion really quick. I meant to do this earlier, but it slipped my mind.
Yeah.
There were cases where it was like, all right, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, stuff like that, where, I mean, obviously there is a church that is a church, quote unquote, that does just awful things. Obviously, I'm speaking of the Westboro Baptist Church.
Was that what you're talking about?
That's who I'm talking
Oh,
about.
I didn't know about them.
Well, it's like, you know, they protest military funerals. They've got the signs that say God hates fags and stuff
Yeah.
like that. It's, I hate that, but they are protected, and it's not like they're not. I mean, those people deal with just as much hate as they dole out because everybody else in the country hates
Possibly more, because there's a good amount of people a part of that church, but
It's basically one big family.
I would say it's like one big, like a population against like the whole country pretty much. Like, I mean, they probably deal with more. I'm not justifying. I'm not saying, oh, let's feel pity for them. I'm just saying, like,
Oh no,
like they,
but
you know,
that's
they
the
bring it on
exact thing
themselves.
where it's like freedom from not freedom from consequences, because it's like every time these guys go out to protest a funeral and they think that they're gonna get right up there and hold these signs that say, you know, God kills soldiers and stuff like that. There's counter protests that are blocking them off so that the soldiers' families don't have to see them.
Yeah.
So that's one of those things. And then another thing I wanted to mention on the religion spectrum is Islam, because, like, you know, freedom of expression and stuff like that. One of the main things that people are talking about with, like, all right, you can do this unless it infringes on the rights of another person.
Yep.
That's where, like, Sharia law comes in, because that
Sharia?
is Sharia. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. How did you not know this?
That is infringing on the rights of women. And in this country, that doesn't fly,
Yeah.
which is why a lot of people are terrified that if, more Islam comes to this country, we're going to have that word, Sharia
There you go.
law,
Yeah.
start taking
I don't think
hold,
it'll ever.
which is
I
not
don't
how,
think it'll ever
that's
happen.
not how it's going to go.
Now, I would be fearful for Europe. The stuff that's been going over there. There's a lot of how they classify it, anti-hate speech, I guess you can say, against Islam in Europe. And I would be if I was a citizen over there in Britain or something like that, I would be a little bit more on the offensive, which there are people but over here I don't think we're gonna have that. I'm not I want everyone to come to America. You know what I mean? Legally. And I think the Constitution's pretty solid. I don't think we're gonna have something like that. But it's definitely, there's laws just in Canada for, that. And that's where one of the people that we're going to be talking about probably in a couple weeks, Jordan B. Peterson, he came out and he was against, I think it was I forget the law that they were trying to put in, but they were trying to, make someone use, word, like they were trying to, create a law that dictates how, we won't get into it unless you want to, the words that someone uses. And it's like the first time in the Western civilization where a law has been put forth to, to try to control what someone says. And he was very much against it, which I am. But just the fact that was even a proposed law,
Right.
It's terrifying to me.
I mean, this is the free speech podcast.
Yeah.
This particular
really
time.
Free, like it just goes everywhere. Sometimes it doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, we can't even leash it in.
Nope, it's just that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm about out of things to say, Eric.
That's fine. We'll get into some more. But yeah, free speech. Say what you want.
Say what you want, but don't remember it could ruin your life.
And don't remember that.
But it could.
It could.
Sound just cut off there for a second.
It did. I think that's our computer saying, stop talking. This is twice as long as what you normally do.
Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening. If you're still with us, Matt, good work.
Eric,
That's
good
right.
work.
All right.
Have a good day. Bye.
We're done. Let's stop. I can't talk. We can't talk anymore. This is it. Let's go.